Where those flags are in the horizon, that's Barretos, that's the rodeo grounds. It's like a mirage. Can't believe we're here. Oh, thank you. Oh man, can't believe we made it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's a common phrase in our world that goes, the dog may be men's best friend, but the horse helped write history. Everything we have today and we enjoy in modern society was built on the back of a horse. They were the first animals brought to the New World to plow our fields, to go to war for us, to carry us to the west and find new fertile lands. And according to both fossil records and oral traditions, horses were also an active part of indigenous culture across the Americas even before settlers arrived. I've lived so intensely beside these majestic animals, traveling, eating with them, sleeping next to them, living great adventures next to them. And the horse has been in my life since I was born. My name is Filipe because it means a friend of horses, and I was on top of a horse before I could walk. My earliest memory of a horse is a near tragedy. I'm 7 years old, I'm on a big gray mare. My dad had put me in an equestrian program to learn how to jump. The coach had taken us out on a field to gallop the horses, and I lost the gray mare. And she was just galloping, galloping, galloping. I remember at that moment, being on that runaway horse, I was so scared, but at the same time, the adrenaline I felt, I kind of wish that mare would just keep running forever. I was born in a small town called Espírito Santo do Pinhal in São Paulo, Brazil. I grew up in a small farm. My first horse was called Martolipe. We couldn't ride the thing because it was a wild horse. It was absolutely crazy. But I remember that just to look at it and be around it, it made me so happy. When I was 9 years old, my life changed dramatically. My parents moved to Canada. I remember when my dad told me, so we're moving to Canada. I was like, I didn't even know what Canada was. I look back at that moment in my life where at 9, I moved countries. It was the first moment that I had to face real adversity. The horse completely left my life for the first few years that we were here. We just didn't have the means. When I was a little kid, I was the most scared child on the face of the earth. And when my dad turned the lights off in my room, I would cry. I was afraid of the dark. I thought the boogeyman was under my bed. My dad would come into my room. He would tell me the story of Aim Chifley, a Swiss school teacher who in 1925 rode horseback from Buenos Aires, Argentina, all the way to the United States. He would use that story to show me that Chifley wasn't afraid. Chifley crossed the Americas with his horses Mancha and Gato. He climbed the highest mountains, swam rivers full of crocodiles. And I remember just imagining what it'd be like to cross all these countries on horseback, and it just became my life's dream. There's this innate want and desire in me to wander. Ultimately, every cell in my body was telling me to get on that horse and ride home. It just got stronger and stronger the older I got. A long rider is an individual that rides 1,000 miles or more in a journey. Oscar Wilde is a long rider, Marco Polo, Charles Darwin. And there is an international organization called the Long Riders Guild that shares all these stories of people who have jumped into the saddle and ridden off into the unknown.
The Long Riders Guild is the world's first international association of equestrian explorers. It has members in 48 countries. More than 100 of the long riders are fellows of the Royal Geographical Society because of the extraordinary journeys that they made. I've answered emails for more than 20 years from people in every country from Albania to Yemen. What's important to note is that when people are confronted with the reality, not the romance of equestrian travel, then they're forced to see how difficult and potentially dangerous and hard it is. That's why 95% of the people who have ever written me never set off.
To prepare for this journey, I spent 2 years in a war room. I had to lose weight, I had to build my core, make contacts, draw the route, reading as much literature as I could, just convincing people that a 20-some-year-old kid who had no previous experience long riding could pull off one of the longest and most arduous rides of the 21st century.
Quando o Felipe me falou que ia fazer essa nova viagem, a gente assustou, eu me assustei no começo. Mas eu sei que é uma coisa que está dentro dele e a gente não tem como segurá-lo. Em 2006, a gente voltou do Canadá para o Brasil. E a gente viu o Felipe muito pouco nesse tempo. E agora eu não vejo a hora dele chegar em casa.
To be honest with you, when Filipe came to me and told me he's gonna do Canada to Brazil, I didn't believe. I said, wow, he's gonna say that, but after 1 month or two trying to get everything together, he's gonna just forget about it.
Ele gastou na estrada, ele chegou só tostão aqui.
Like, what are you leaving in Calgary?
I'm not leaving anything in Calgary.
You're not?
No, everything I'm taking now, I'm gonna take with me on the trip.
Emma and I, we met in university.
Look at you, little one.
She always encouraged me to take risks, even though it meant that, I wasn't going to see her while I was training for my ride. My plan is to ride from Calgary, Canada, to my family's home in Espírito Santo do Pinhal, Brazil. Right now, the weather is warm, but winter is going to creep up on us very quickly. And I've got to make it to Mexico by then, or the whole journey is screwed. My dad is thinking about riding with me through Mexico, and my mom may come out at some point in Latin America, but for the most part, I'll be going alone. Crossing the Panama Canal will be a major issue, but I know that by the time we get there, we'll figure it out. Then I ride through Colombia and make it to Brazil. At our pace, I think it's going to take about 2 years to get home.
We're at the Greyhound bus station in Toronto. I should be getting on the bus at 12:15 and going to Saskatoon. I get to Saskatoon for 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow.
Filipe was facing two major obstacles, tactical and political. Even though Filipe had an intense equestrian background and was a skilled rider, he did not know anything about horseback packing, pack horses, or pack saddles. So I contacted Canadian long rider Stan Walchuk, who is the expert in that topic. And Stan not only offered to mentor Filipe, he invited him to come to British Columbia, where he took him under his wing and taught him everything about horsepacking.
My background is different than a lot of horse people in that I've been able to learn from lots of different people over the years. But I've taken ideas and been with many different people and tried to collect them all and look at what works and doesn't work.
Take these.
Walk up the horse. Kind of clip on. Whip it on there. Walk it around. Pull really hard in the front corner. What'll happen is that the horse will leave, struggle a bit. It will just stand there because it knows that rope is absolute boss.
And then I started making lists, everything I needed. From the horses, paperwork, saddle, pack saddle, horseshoes, equipment, tent, one burner oven, everything. The planning was tremendous. I didn't have the budget to undertake this journey, so during the planning stage, I sent out hundreds of emails. I sent letters, called different ranchers until finally 2 ranches in Montana agreed to give me Frenchie and Bruiser for the journey.
This is my man Frenchie over here and Bruiser on the other side. Boy. Now Frenchie's been okay, he's pretty good, but he's really nervous about everything, so we're trying to take things really slowly with him. I started working on the horses with putting the pack saddle on Frenchie and putting some weight on it and getting him used to it. At one point he completely freaked out, started bucking, and I lost the hold of the rope, and then he scared Bruiser, and Bruiser started bucking and threw me off. Got a huge slit in my pants. I think my finger's broken, rope burn. So I'm a little freaked out. I don't have that much time.
Leaving from Calgary put me on top of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, horse country. A lot less people in population, which makes the ride a lot easier. The Calgary Stampede is Canada's largest rodeo, and it's internationally renowned in Western culture. I was lucky they agreed to give me a send-off to begin my journey south.
It is 10:40 right now, and we leave in 20 minutes. So it's crunch time. Crunch, crunch. I've been dreaming of this moment since I was a little kid, since the first time I heard that story of Aim Chifley riding from Buenos Aires to New York. It's been, you know, a crazy year. Just getting people to believe that this could happen, just to be here for me is already a huge win. To be with these beautiful horses and living my dream, you know, I think more people need to not be scared of do what they love and follow their dreams, because we're in a society today where it's, you know, everyone's so scared to do things, to think outside the box, and it's really sad. You gotta go for what you believe, because when you do, it's like what I'm feeling right now. There's no other feeling like this, you know? And my mom is very worried, obviously, she's a mother, so she says she's gonna have to take some sedatives for the next 2 years to try to sleep at night, but it just feels right, you know? We're a family that we move on instinct, we move on feeling, and if it felt wrong, I wouldn't do it. You want me to go this way, I'm okay, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna tell her, okay? I'm gonna be fine. Don't be worried about me, you know me. Figure it out, no?
Although she knew that this was gonna drive me away from her, it was gonna drive us apart, she never told me not to do it. Which now, looking back, how selfless is that?
I love you. I'll see you soon. Okay? Good massage.
Felt like I had a bowling ball lodged in my throat. I was just swallowing the fear back. I was very scared, very scared.
Every equestrian journey is different. During my solo ride across northern Pakistan, I was kidnapped, tortured, falsely imprisoned, and nearly died of hepatitis. In contrast, the British explorers who tried to reach the South Pole in 1911, their horses were eaten by orca whales. Of course, there's always the traditional challenges of mountains, jungles, swamps, disease-carrying insects, carnivorous beasts, and very dangerous human beings.
It was 1,000,000 degrees. I'm already thinking, why did I decide to leave in July? No shade, we're next to this road, and all of a sudden I realized I forgot to bring water. Are you kidding me?
Are you the guy that's riding to South America?
Yeah.
Well, good luck, man.
I travel 3 kilometers an hour, 30 kilometers a day. You know, that's the max you can ride a day for these horses. So you're always in the middle of nowhere. So usually you just knock on the door and ask for help. Like, who does that these days, you know what I mean? And I knocked on these people's door and they came out and they were like, yes, and I have 2 horses with me. I'm like, oh, hi, my name is Filipe. I'm riding horses from Canada to Brazil, and I was wondering if I could spend the night here, and they were like, so I just set up camp in their field. I wake up and Bruiser had bit Frenchie's back right where the pack sits. I couldn't put the pack on because if I put the pack on, it was gonna start rubbing it and it was gonna create a wound and it was gonna slowly become worse and worse. But I had no choice, I had to pack him. I could notice the discomfort. I take the pack saddle off and sure enough, it had rubbed the wound and now it was inflated. If I keep going like this, it's only gonna get worse. I'm gonna have to stop a car and see if someone can take the pack to the next town, and then I'll just figure it out when I get there.
I heard about you through my mom when I was going to the Stampede, that you were going to Brazil on a horse, and I'm a horse lover myself, so yeah, just this one day you were passing through reserve and I seen you and I thought I'd help you. Right now I'm dispatching for the Blood Tribe Police. I'm actually just waiting to go to depot, and then I'll come back and be a police officer on the reserve, you know, where I can help my own people.
I'd like to give you this for your travels, so you'll always be protected.
Shirley took me to meet one of the Blood Tribe's elders. She gave me some sweetgrass so I could burn and protect me because I was very nervous to cross the American border. She saw that I was nervous. She's like, all right, you burn it, you smother yourself with the smoke, and you pray to your God and ask for your God to protect you. When we first came to Canada, my dad had a work permit, and he renewed that work permit for 8 years. On year number 8, the work permit got denied, and we were asked to leave Canada in 15 days. We went to this immigration center. We talked to them through a plexiglass window. And just the way the woman talked to us, it was like we had stolen or killed, just treated us like garbage. And I remember at one point, I was just bawling. And this woman did not blink an eye. It was just almost like that plexiglass had her in another world where hearts and compassion doesn't exist. So my dad, in a panic, hired a lawyer, got some bad advice, and the lawyer told him to apply for humanitarian reasons so that we could remain here. That took 2 years, in which time I started university, and after my first year of university, we got a letter saying, denied, you have 15 days to leave the country again. Well, with my immigration history and the fact that I'm a Brazilian kid riding 2 horses, I was so nervous coming up to the US border. It ended up being the easiest border of the entire trip.
We've just arrived in the US. I'm on my way to Babb, Montana, and it's just extremely hot. It's so hot. Been walking for like maybe 10 miles to give the horses a break. Oh, it's the first shade I found, and it feels good to be here.
Once we entered Montana, we found ourselves in the worst drought the US had had in a generation.
Come on, buddy.
And that made my life and the horse's life just hell.
So here's a stream behind me that once was flowing with water, and today it's just bone dry. You can even walk right in it, walk right under the bridge. And this is real sad because a lot of farmers depend on these creeks to farm and to water their crops.
Finding water for these animals became such a huge problem.
You only eat after your horses have eaten. You only drink after they've had something to drink. And you only rest when your horses are resting and happy.
Então, no começo a gente ficou super apreensiva, mãe é mãe, né? Não dormia à noite, aliás, eu não durmo até hoje, eu acordo de hora em hora e olho no relógio. Eu acordava de madrugada, 2 horas da manhã, será que ele está dormindo? Será que ele está numa barraca? Será que ele está na casa de alguém? Mas eu tenho muita fé que vai dar tudo certo e ele vai chegar muito bem.
So we rested for a couple days at Copper Spring Ranch, which is Bruiser's original home, before I made my way through the backcountry of Yellowstone.
Bacon and eggs at 5:30.
In Chifley's ride, there is a beautiful black and white photo of him crossing a suspension bridge with Gato in Bolivia. It was the first time where I was like, holy shit, I'm doing this. Here I was, feeling the bridge sway, you know, hearing the river underneath us.
Wow, that's a nice view.
You could just see how strong these animals are. Sometimes, like, we couldn't even climb up the mountain. We'd be holding on their tails, and they'd be pulling us up. On our last river crossing in Yellowstone, Frenchie ended up hurting his stifle really bad, which forced us to haul the horses back to Copper Spring Ranch so we could figure out what to do next. Frenchie was the Wayne Johnson of the group. Super strong. That horse is so good looking. But at the same time, he was just a mess. He loved to eat. He would fart all the time. He snored while he slept. He was the comedic relief. So Copper Spring Ranch, they're gonna lend me 2 other horses so I can take them on the trip and continue while these guys rest up and get better. I knew all along that was gonna be one of the hardest parts of this trip was my horse's health, especially going through mountains like we did at Yellowstone. But luckily I can give them the time off and not push them and hurt them even more. That's the most important part. After traveling for weeks with these horses, it was very disheartening to have to train new horses and worse, leave one of my kids, Frenchie, behind.
What you have to remember is that horses are natural nomads. Wild horses travel 20, 30, 40 miles a day in search of grass and water. So when you take a horse and you take a human like Frenchie and Filipe, and you put them together and you aim them in the same direction every day, a new herd ethic develops. So in exchange for transportation, the horse gives unquestioning loyalty and love. Filipe's emotional bond with his horses is so deep that it's affected his life forever.
Kids ask me all the time, how do you go to the bathroom? What do you carry in your pack saddle? And how do you shower? Of course, I tell them I don't shower, at which point they all want to sign up and go with me on this journey. In Wyoming, I got this really cool experience as a cowboy to work in a cattle ranch. And before I left, the rancher Merrill was like, you know what? A trip like yours could really use a third horse.
His name is Texas. A really nice rancher here in Wyoming has offered to donate him so I can have 3 horses and alternate which one I ride, which one I pack, so one horse is always getting a break every day. It's an amazing offer, and we'll see how he does.
When I was crossing from southern Wyoming into Colorado, I crossed this huge mountain. I was by myself for 5 days. When I came down from that mountain, I came to a town called Savory. You know those sci-fi movies where you come back to Earth and everyone's gone? That's what it felt like. Riding around this town, there's no one. And then the sign literally said, Savory, population 25. I met this elderly fellow. He was a very lonely man, you could tell, very quickly living by himself. His name was Sam.
My dad was born here. I was born in Dixon, 4 miles away. Took me 78 years to go 4 miles. That's not very good mileage.
The only thing he said to me, Sam, was, whatever you do, you don't ride across the $1 million highway. But the problem is that we needed to get south quick because of the winter. The winter in northern US could have stopped the trip. The morning, the horses' buckets were freezing. It got to the point where a couple weeks later, the only thing I could do was cross the $1 million highway. I go to the tourist office to ask what they think the best time to do it is. She's like, no, you can't, it's too dangerous. Like, the turns are too tight, there's no guardrail. I was like, no, I'm not trailing them, I'm riding them. She's like, you're what?
It's 4 o'clock in the morning, we're just outside of Ouray, about to get on the $1 million highway, headed over to Silverton. It's gonna be a very scary part of the trip, 11,000 feet, very narrow roads, and a lot of cars, so that's why we're leaving so early. Let's go, come on.
We start in pitch black. All I can see is that there's a huge drop to my right, but I can't see how far it goes. And when the sun starts coming up, I actually see what's around me, and it's just so scary. It's literally just like a drop. There's a rock face here and abyss here. So if my horses get scared, they're gonna run for the abyss, and I need to jump off and try to survive. We start climbing. It's so quiet and so cold. There's very few cars, but every time a car goes by, we're just like holding our breath, and the horses are okay. I finally got over the $1 million highway pass, but the Colorado winter was quickly creeping up on me.
We're like at 8,000 feet here, so we're still in the high country, and they're calling for snow tonight.
I'm just excited to get off this mountain. It's freezing. Gonna give the horse something to eat now.
After 3 more days of riding through these mountains, I was able to get to lower ground where it warmed up. I remembered from my backpacking days that there was a website called Couchsurfing. And sure enough, there was a guy there from southern Colorado called Peter Lisker. I messaged him, he messaged me back right away. He's like, yeah, for sure, you can stay at my house. Really nice fella. I think he only wore Hawaiian shirts. Before I left his house, I noticed that he was like, kind of weird.
My sister Naomi was beautiful. She was intelligent, witty, very strong-willed, and she loved horses. She passed away in March. This is pretty much what I've got left of her. She would be thrilled to be going for one last ride.
So this is Naomi. I'm gonna take her on one last ride, and hopefully she'll make it all the way to Brazil with me. I'm gonna put her in the pack saddle, and she'll be sharing this journey with her because she was very passionate about horses. So we have something in common.
To Naomi, I'll just say happy trails, and until we meet again.
The life of a lonely long rider. Being alone, it's kind of like having a little pebble in your boot. You're not gonna get down. You're tired, you're gonna keep riding. And that pebble starts to grow, and it's all you can think about. And now you're playing with it, and you're moving it around, and the pebble becomes a boulder. And the pain is there, but you're trying to hide it with other things, but you can't stop thinking about the pebble. Loneliness is like that. It just engulfs you. The deepest scars I have in my soul came from all that time that I spent alone.
Whoa, whoa.
It's the perfect recipe for craziness.
We need fucking water!
You have to literally live it and feel that solitude pressing against your skin, and that's the only way that you can really understand what impact being out there by yourself for such long periods of time can have on a human being, on a long rider. Another big lesson from this trip is that life is meant to be shared. It could be the most beautiful, colorful, epic sunset in the world. But when you're eating your ramen noodles, sitting on top of your panniers by yourself, it just doesn't seem as colorful as when you're sharing it with someone.
Riding from Bernalillo out of Albuquerque today. Got Emma with me. How's it going back there?
It's awesome.
So having Emma come out to meet me in New Mexico was amazing.
Emma, what happened this morning with you in Texas here?
Got on the horse, started to walk away out of the driveway, and got bucked off.
She's officially a cowgirl now. I'm proud of you. You stayed on really. Oh, I was so scared when I saw it.
And luckily, I was able to get Frenchie back after his month of resting. It was a beautiful day. Came to a locked gate on the trail we were following. And because it was gonna take so long to go back, I started looking for alternatives, and I saw this field that would take me back to the trail. So I thought, hey, I could just ride across. It had some tall weeds on it. A few meters into this field.
Fuck. Bruiser's stuck in a big hole behind me. I'm gonna try to get him out. I didn't see this. The grass was really deep.
He freaked out and tried to turn around, but it all happened so quickly.
Come on, buddy.
Careful.
Come on. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Come on, buddy. Come on, come on. Come on, Bruiser.
Come on.
Fuck.
My heart was trying to punch its way out of my rib cage, you know?
Come on, buddy. Come on, Bruiser. Come on, buddy. You can...
Come on.
You're okay, buddy. You're okay. I'm gonna get you out of here.
I managed to wiggle him around, took the saddle off to lighten up the load. I dug the ditch a little bit, and then I jumped out and said, all right, Bruiser, I'm gonna count to 3, and on 3, you jump out of there.
Oh, yes.
Luckily, he was okay, didn't hurt himself, miraculously.
Oh, yes, riding down the bar ditch on 285, and I passed you when I was going to work that morning, and then when I come back that evening, I stopped and talked to you. We passed another man right up the road here a while ago on a bicycle. I didn't stop and talk to him. He didn't have a horse. We didn't have anything in common to talk about.
We're in the middle of nowhere in Texas, and all of a sudden, I see hanging on this barbed wire fence, there's all these laminated pages with photos on them. We meet Nita, an animal rights advocate. She tells me that a couple days earlier, she saw me riding, pulled out her camera, and takes this beautiful photo. When we met, she showed me the photograph and told me the story about the wall.
He was in a feedlot, and the investigator said he kept watching for his owner to come back and get him. And then he ended up killed by our body.
Well, that's the Wall of Hope, which she started to tell the story of how horses can have an impact and change people's lives.
More than 90,000 horses already this year have been taken down to Mexico for slaughter. But the problem is that the manner in which these horses are transported and handled are very inhumane. Makes me sad that I'm, riding the same way that these thousands of horses are being taken to be slaughtered in Mexico. But this is a really cool initiative so people remember them. Are you excited to go home for a little while?
Excited? No. But, you have a 2-year journey, so I have all kinds of time to meet you again.
Today is kind of a happy day, but also a little bit of sadness. I have to say goodbye to Texas. He's just not as big or strong as Frenchie and Bruiser. So I'm trading him out for a new horse, a Mustang. He's a Native American wild horse, which is even cooler for me because there's just so much history there. I'm so happy to have Dude. When Chifley went on his ride, he took 2 Criollos, the wild horses of South America. He would say how important that was, that these horses had this wild instinct, how important it was for their survival.
Tengo que entrar en México con 3 caballos. Sí, estoy descendo de Canadá hasta Brasil a caballo. Sí. Loco, no. Es una...
When Canadians and Americans would tell me, you're gonna cross Mexico on a horse, you're gonna die, I would ask them, have you ever been to Mexico? In which time they replied, no. But then, as I got into the southern part of the US, every Mexican family I met, they told me I was gonna be killed in Mexico. I was forced to wait at the border at a cattle stockyard where the slaughter horses stay before entering Mexico. My horses did not feel comfortable there the entire time. It was as if they could smell the fear. You can only legally take 2 horses into Mexico. Dude was actually ridden across by a kid named Jesus. I put it into Jesus' hand, and he took the horse in 15 minutes, and Dude, he's like, yeah, Dude is in Mexico. And then the other 2 horses, because they're going legally, it's paperwork, it's the vet, you call, you do this, you do that. After 2 weeks, I finally got the horses into Mexico, and my dad was waiting for me on the other side in Ojinaga.
Day one in Mexico. We're headed towards Jimenez. We'll probably be there, I don't even know, 10 days, 7 days. Only God knows.
My dad was gonna ride with me through the northern part of Mexico.
How are you feeling?
Feel good. First day, not too tired. And I don't know, let's see by the end of the week. I can tell you better.
This was my dad's dream way before it was my own. My dad learned of the story of Aim Chifley when he was a young kid. In a way, I was living the dream for the both of us.
Right now, I just missing my shower. I love to have a shower now and get a nice bed, but that's how it is.
Crossing the Chihuahua Desert, that's where 90% of the drugs that go from South America through that corridor in Central America and Mexico into the US and Canada. So it's a very dangerous place. On the first day we're riding in Mexico, we were interrogated by the police. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We're riding horses to Brazil. What's in the pack saddle? We tell them. They calmed down. They were horsemen themselves. I heard a couple of them talking like which horse they liked better. They let us go. At nighttime, we were pitching our tent in the middle of nowhere. We didn't know if this was a route that the drug traffickers were gonna be coming through. We didn't know if someone was gonna take us hostage or kill us. My dad and I have a long talk about how we cannot accept any help from anyone that's working with the drug traffic. My dad makes it very clear, that's the #1 rule. That afternoon, we get to a little village.
E o que passa nos Estados Unidos com ustedes?
Estaba preso.
¿Por qué?
Me agarraron con droga.
No, me cuenta cómo funciona, como cuántos días tienen que caminar.
Son 5 días de camino, 5 noches. Pero sufre uno mucho por el camino y no se lo aconsejo a nadie que camine para allá. Pues según 30 kilos, 5 años duré preso.
Mas si llegar con la droga, ¿cuánto paga?
$2,500, $3,000.
Sí.
It's like -3 outside, and this guy's got a house with heaters in it.
Es de membrillo.
The #1 rule went straight out the window. We slept in his house.
Ahora vamos a salir en televisión, ¿verdad? Por todas partes, ¿verdad?
Sí, por todo el mundo.
¿Por todo el mundo?
Sí.
Fíjese. Y la agarro con las manos. Aquí peligroso.
Sí.
Como no, pues no le digo todo lo que está pasando. Pues los que andan mal, ya ve.
Sí.
Los que andan mal, los que sí venden así cosas así de eso de la hierba esta fea, marihuana, ¿verdad? Todo eso, ¿verdad?
Aquí se mata a muchas personas.
Sí, aquí sí. Mire, esas mujeres, ellas venden diésel. Y ahí nomás llegaron y los mataron. Les dieron un balazo en la sien, mire, nomás llegaron y los mataron a los dos pobres. Es que está la gente trabajando.
My dad's gone ahead to see if we can find a place, if there's a ranch or something up there.
It was really late, and I was tired, and I left the panniers inside where I put the horses.
All right, go to sleep.
hope for the best. When I woke up in the morning and unzipped my tent, Frenchie had knocked the pannier over with Naomi's ashes. And now he was eating Naomi's ashes. And I'm like, oh my God. I'd get Frenchie off the ashes, put the ashes back, say a Hail Mary, apologize to Naomi. We as sons, we have a hard time with our fathers. I think because we're so similar to them. My dad and I were in the middle of this desert, and one day we're talking about palominos. One guy said palomino was just a color. The other guy said palomino was a color and a breed, and we had this like tempestuous fight. Like it all blew up, and we didn't talk to each other all day. It's crazy how when you're suffering so much and you're out there and there's so much unknown, how something so little and minute as a horse or a breed can become this epic battle.
Conocí un cabalgador de esos que son mortales. Venía de tierras lejanas, yo lo vi junto a su padre. Es una historia bonita, la que aquí voy a cantarle.
No one celebrated the journey like the Mexicans.
Vaquero desde niño, un sueño se le metió.
Every town we rode into, people just started showing up.
Buenas tardes.
Hola, Filipe.
Some days we'd have 5 people riding with us. Some days 7. And one day we had 1,000 horsemen and women saddle their horses and ride with us. To see that many animals, that many horse people together.
Que la bendición de Dios Todopoderoso, Padre, Hijo y Espíritu Santo, descienda sobre ustedes.
It's funny, here they turned my trip into a trip for peace, and I understand it because these people are so desperate for it, and they need some hope. And if I can give them a little bit, then that's cool. It's just amazing. I don't know what to say. Can't say thank you enough for the cavalgantes here from Rio Grande. Gave us these really nice shirts and have welcomed us like family here. It's been like that all over Mexico. It's so nice.
Today, I'm feeling that I have 100 pounds over my shoulders.
My dad was a champion. His age to become a long rider, you know, he rode more than 1,000 miles consecutively, was amazing. My dad is very religious. He had cancer, and he truly believes that it was his prayers that cured him. It was very important for him to finish the journey at the Basilica of Guadalupe to thank her. He thanked the saint for keeping us safe and asked her to continue to watch over me as I had more than half of the journey still ahead. I guess once he was with me and he saw what the journey was, he realized how dangerous it was for his son and that I may not make it to Brazil. When people think about what I do, it becomes romantic. It's a guy on a horse galloping through the jungle or in the woods and the mountaintops and the birds. There were so many close calls. There was points where I was riding these horses on roads where if I stuck on my arm, those trucks would have hit me.
Holy fuck.
King Chifley gets to Texas, and he shuts the trip down because of the car traffic. A car actually almost hits one of his horses, and he gets so aggravated and so scared of the traffic in 1928 at this point. He says, no, I'm pulling the plug. I'm trailing the rest of the way.
I'm just so happy I came out of that alive. Thank you, baby Jesus. Wow.
Southern Mexico, that's when the suffering got real.
Torrential downpour right now. Luckily, I found a restaurant here that let me tie the horses up and put my tent. All right, so today was possibly the worst day of my life. One second is all it takes. Oh, God. I was inside the restaurant talking to the people who run the place, and all of a sudden, the guy that I was talking to said, "Hey, man," I said, "You're gonna say, hey, man," he said, your horse is going on the road." And I turned around and I saw Frenchie walking right on the highway. And I ran out of the door and I ran towards him. And before I could even get close, I saw a car, I saw a truck. Frenchie's just been hit by a car. It's the worst moment of the trip so far. He fell on top of the hood and then fell on the ground. There was sparks from his shoes, the crunching of the hood, the sound of the car braking, him scrambling, getting back up, and then he ran towards traffic, and there was tractor trailers coming, and I ran after him, and I didn't know what to do. I almost got hit by a truck. And then the guy that hit him wanted to charge me for the damage. He wanted so much money. Then he wanted to call the cops. Luckily, I just met these charros, and they gave me their number literally like 15 minutes before this all happened. And I called them, and they came to help me with the trailer. They brought me to their ranch. The vet checked Frenchie out, stitched his lip, which was cut. His back leg looks pretty bad. I don't know what's gonna happen now. Hopefully he'll be okay. Wow.
I spent 1 month with Frenchie, treating him, feeding him. He was very scared. This was a very important moment of the trip where I learned that you need to be on top of your horses all day, every day. When I left Canada, I was an atheist. I saw the bad side of religion. You know, I felt that religion started wars. I felt that religion separated people. But I tell you what, my friend, when you think you're gonna die, or you think your animals are gonna die, your kids, you pray. And today I believe in God. I don't know what it is, who it is. I do feel like now going through everything I went through, there has to be something bigger. There has to be something out there.
The Long Riders Guild maintains the world's strictest code of equestrian ethics. And Filipe is an excellent example of how a long rider maintains this ethics. He always put the welfare of his horses before his own ego.
Ranger gets very curious when you start eating in front of him. Tomorrow, if all goes well, we'll be going into Guatemala. And hopefully breaking through this next barrier, which is going into Central America. Hopefully it's gonna give us some life, give me some life, because right now it's a little bit of a mental struggle. For sure, it's tough.
Based on my experience with Mexico and speaking to different people, I knew it was gonna be impossible to cross the borders through Central America legally. There are viruses that exist, let's say in Brazil, that don't exist here. So in order for those viruses not to spread across borders, there are a lot of requirements and laws and quarantine and exams that need to be done every time you cross a border with a horse. And a lot of these countries don't even have regulations when you get to the border. They don't have a form to give you. You're a guy with 3 horses, and they see that as an opportunity. So I started crossing all of the borders illegally. They have literally the border, and then right next to it, they have this little path where they cross cocaine, weapons, whatever you want. The first border, Mexico, Guatemala, I gave the horses to a guy, walked over with my boots and my spurs and horse hairs all over me to the actual border. The guy stamped my passport, didn't ask anything, went like 50 meters down. My horses came out of the jungle, and I continued on. The first town I got to, La Libertad, this guy's like, hey, come, there's been an accident. There was a rooster and a chicken in the middle of the road. There was the guy bleeding to death. Spectators here talking as if they're watching a soccer game. And then I couldn't piece it together. I'm like, why is there a rooster and a chicken in the middle of the road? And then when I asked him, he's like, he stole that chicken and that rooster. That's why they killed him. I mean, you start to understand what a life is worth in Central America. In Latin America, they tend to use corn to feed horses because it's cheaper than buying feed. But you have to slowly build it up to them. You can't just go there one day and give them corn like this rancher did in northern Guatemala.
All right, so right now I'm really worried. Bruiser hasn't gone to the bathroom all day. He's wanting to lay down. I've got to get him up like 3 times already. So he could be colicking. I think he's colicking, I don't know.
Colic happens when a horse eats something differently, very quickly, or when they don't have water.
I'm starting to get really worried. This is a serious problem.
Because horses can't vomit, start to build up these gases in their stomach, their tummy hurts, they'll start to roll until the point where they can't take it.
I hate to think about it, but a lot of horses have died from colic. So I called the vet clinic. They said they have some medication there. I'm gonna go over there and buy it. A few minutes after, thank God he went to the bathroom. I was getting so worried. Good job, buddy.
Bruiser is just this beautiful, slick 007 of the group. Super smart, a horse fit for a king. That horse understood me so well. You just didn't even have to tell him. He just read your mind. And he was just so beautiful. He moved so elegantly.
In southern Guatemala, I was put in touch with the boss of the region to get safe passage into Honduras.
When I started the trek here, I started filming, and the kid came up to me. He was like, I don't know, 17 years old. He's like, be careful, man. Don't film a lot here because the DEA has been coming in here to look for a really big boss of the narcotráfico. And people might think that you're a spy or you're filming for them. So he said, if someone asks what you're doing, just tell them you're a singer. And I'm like, what if they ask me to sing? Are you nuts? Been shot on the spot.
It's impossible to ride. It's so hard to get up this fucking mountain.
We finally get to the village where my very powerful host was waiting for me.
He lived in a mansion, but it was really hard to film because I did not feel safe. He was drinking a beer and he tossed me a can. And I grabbed it and he goes, "Llegaste." And I couldn't even talk. I was like, "Llegué." And I looked at the beer, it was a blue can and it was called Salva Vida, lifesaver. He had his own zoo. And along with his men.
¿Qué hubo? ¿Cómo estás? Buenos días, mucho gusto. ¿Cómo estás?
They rode with me and kept me safe through northern Honduras.
Very few people get the opportunity to break bread with cartel members.
You know, your skin color may change, your bank account, your religion, your nationality, the color of your flag. But when you sit with these people when they're home and you eat with them, you realize that they just want to love and be loved. Humanity is good at its core. And that's, I think, the most special part about this journey. I'm staying at this house, and the wife of the husband is this like drop-dead gorgeous blonde that's very flirtatious. And I get back from the horses one day, and she was there by herself. So she says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." She's like, "You want to have dinner with me?" I'm like, "Sure, let's have dinner." And we have dinner, nothing happens. And a couple hours later, this is Sunday night, I'm talking over Skype with my family, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I hear,
Hola, hermano. Yo estoy bien, es que yo estoy en el hotel aquí y el dueño del hotel, no sé quién es, está peleando con su mujer, estaba dando balazos aquí, dando tiros.
I started looking around the room. What can I put in front of the door? If I jump out the window, will I survive? 2 hours after the police rode in, they talked to him and they left. She was alive, he didn't kill her. All right, just entered Nicaragua. Feels crazy to be here. I wish I could have filmed the process. I had to pay so much money. It was insane. It took me like 4 hours. It sucks. I honestly hate every border I get to. It's the worst. But in Nicaragua, woo! Today's a very special day. I get to see my mom after 2 years. I miss her a lot, and she really wants to ride, but she has no experience, so it's gonna be hilarious. I'll never forget waiting at the airport for her. Just brought so much love and happiness to me.
São barbudo! Aqui! Não, já filmou que com cara de morte. E aí, velho? Tem boné também? Esse e esse aqui.
Ele fica aí.
Fica aí. Parada.
So we get on the horses. The first thing she's like, "This is how slow we travel?"
So tired. So hot. And I'm here because of you.
So my mom thought I was galloping through the Americas.
How long has it been?
4 hours?
It's been like 2 hours.
She's like, Filipe, I need to get off this horse. I'm like, no, you can't get off now or we're not gonna make it. I push her through the last few kilometers. She just like melts on the ground, dying. I'm like, hey, that's only the first day. We got a week to go.
Sorry, Filipe. That's it, hurry. One day. Eu vim fazer parte dessa jornada junto com o Filipe. Estou muito feliz de ter feito parte desse sonho. Foi embora feliz porque ele está conseguindo realizar o sonho dele. E um menino iluminado que consegue tudo o que quer com muito esforço. E é isso, muito feliz de ter podido participar dessa jornada. Vamos chorar.
My horses had personalities that were larger than life. Dude was a little surfer dude. He looked like a Californian beach bum, bleached blonde mane. But he was also the police of the horses. When I put them out in the pasture with other animals, he would kind of stand apart. Frenchie and Bruiser would be glued to each other, and Dude would be just off in the distance, and he would not let anyone get near Frenchie and Bruiser.
So the horses were just grazing, and Dude fell in a big hole. Got his leg caught, cut himself really bad. I was getting him out. It took me like half an hour to get him out. I thought he was gonna break his leg. He was struggling so much.
Dude fell into this old cattle guard. He was pulling back so much. He got his front hoof caught in it, and he was pulling back so hard to try to get it out that I thought he was just gonna break his leg clean off. And I'm trying to calm him down, and all of a sudden, he just got up, and I got up with him. I didn't know if he had broken something. And I thought to myself, please, there has to be some sort of higher power that can help us. Sure enough, the universe sent me these two kids on a bike that had been fishing. In 30 minutes, we're loading the horse up on the truck, and we were able to take care of him and bring him back to health. Chifli, Mancha, Gato, I definitely prayed to them in the tough moments. They were this greater being that followed me throughout the entire experience, and they changed my life. That's all I can say. Like, that book, Chifli's Ride, changed my life.
Emma's come back to ride with me, and it's gonna be an awesome time. I'm so excited to have her out here.
How are we doing? We're doing good. Tired, sweaty, still alive.
We were riding by monkeys, hopping from tree to tree, exotic birds.
We're so close to Pacific Ocean. First time these horses will ever see it. It's right there. Here we go. First time these guys walk on the Pacific Ocean. Frenchie got a little scared. Huge moment right now. Huge moment for us. All right, just arriving at the border with Panama. Took the bus just to make sure I know exactly what I need to cross this border because I don't want to be stuck here for 6 hours. I'm gonna go check it out now and then ride the horses here hopefully in 1 or 2 days.
When I used to read Chifli's Ride, Panama was always huge because when he was coming north, he had to load his horses on a boat to cross from Colombia into Panama.
Found the office and thank God I came early because they have no idea what to do right now.
When I got there, there's this guy spitting out rice as he told me what I couldn't do and what I could do, and showing me these papers and telling me to look at the website and not being very helpful at all.
They want to charge me $250 per horse. It's a joke. I waited all day for the vet here yesterday, never showed up. They're gonna have to stay here in quarantine at the border for 7 days. And that's gonna mean we're gonna spend Christmas right here at the border, under this tree. It's gonna be the worst Christmas of my life. I was running around everywhere. I had to pay $300, then I had to pay $100. Then I had to run and get a green form, then I had to get a yellow form, then I had to get this form.
What I found out is that in order to import a horse into Panama, that animal had to spend 6 months or longer in the country where you're exporting it from. It was like someone pulled the ground from underneath me. It's like, what am I gonna do?
Now I just got a new price, and it is $12,000. I absolutely hate borders. I hate bureaucracy. I hate stupid rules and regulations that mean nothing.
At first, we were gonna go to Colombia. Then all of a sudden, the Ministry of Agriculture in Brazil notifies me that there is a virus, that if the horses touch foot in Colombia or Venezuela, they now can't enter Brazil.
The horses are not leaving Costa Rica again. We've been stuck for 3 months now, and I really thought that today was gonna be the day, but it's not. So we gotta keep trying, I guess.
For the first time, I was like, is the trip over? A horse has never been sent from Costa Rica to Peru. Boats don't take horses anymore in this part of the world. So we have to talk to the president of the Ministry of Agriculture in Brazil, to call the president of the Ministry of Agriculture in Peru to open up a window for the first time. Every border I got to wanted to make me quit.
Fuck. It's just so hard to have to think about leaving my horses here. They worked so hard to get us this far, you know, and the amount of like cocaine and marijuana that cross these borders every day. The amount of illegal things that go on every day, I've seen it. I've traveled through the little paths beside the border where drugs cross, where women are crossed illegally, where whatever you want you can get. And everyone turns a blind eye, and officials are paid off, and politicians steal more money. But when you're trying to do something right, you get all your tests done, you hire the vet, you pay $16,000 to do something right, you know, you have everything you need. They just like...
Border guards are by nature hostile. They are an extenuation of the ancient Roman prejudice that anyone mounted was an uncivilized barbarian. And Filipe's journey across the international borders as he went south became increasingly hard, hostile, and dangerous because the bureaucrats that were in charge of the borders were intent on keeping him out.
All right, so it's just after 10 o'clock in the morning. It's 10:13, and I have a message from the authorities in Brazil. Please, baby Jesus, please God, please universe, make it be good news. Woo! Ah, we got it, fuck! Ah! Woo! Thank you.
We finally managed to get the horses on an Avianca flight to Peru.
All right, boys, you ready to fly? You ready to fly? No problem, right, Frenchie? Vai com Deus! I love you!
So after a few days of quarantine, they finally let us leave and we were able to ride through Peru.
After 1 year, 8 months on the road, we are officially in Peru, in South America. Can't even begin to express how amazing it feels. Riding in Peru. Currently on the coast in Lima. Have to get to the Bolivian border and then somehow to the Brazilian border. It's nice that at least we get to enjoy this, and the horses are resting at a nice ranch, so everyone is recharging before the final stretch to Brazil. Not so good, bumpy ride.
Unfortunately, Frenchie, Bruiser, and Dude only had a certain number of days to transit through Peru. We ended up having to trailer them all the way to the Bolivian border. So after another mountain of paperwork and South American bureaucracy, we finally made it to La Paz with the horses and were able to continue our ride.
Can't believe it, just outside of La Paz. It's been an insane road to get here, but somehow, some way, we managed to get to the last country we'll cross.
From the Andes, we rode southeast to the Brazilian border town of Corumbá, Mato Grosso do Sul.
Today is one of the most important days of the entire trip. After 1 year and 11 months on the road, we finally get to Brazil.
Stepping on Brazilian soil, so many emotions.
Can't believe it, we're here. More than 14,000 kilometers away from Calgary, and we're here in Brazil.
My parents drove up. Before my dad even stopped his truck, my little sister runs out and gives me the biggest hug ever. It was almost 3 years that I hadn't seen her. It was a big moment of deja vu because in the hard moments when the bullets were flying, when the horses were hurt, I would take myself to my parents' embrace and to Brazil. And I think that's kind of why I got there as well, because I was able to visualize it so much that one day it just happened.
Muito para andar. Daqui, o Filipe vai para cima.
I spent 3 months riding through Brazil, getting stopped on the road like I could barely ride because it meant so much for the Brazilian people.
We just came to a really small little pueblo here in Brazil, and Alex just gave me this to scare the jaguars away. Em 1925, imagina como eram essas Américas em 1925, né?
I will never forget the way my country welcomed me back home.
Então eu tinha certeza desde o começo que tudo ia dar certo. Alguma coisa dentro de mim falava que ele ia chegar bem, que nada ia acontecer. Ele não teve nada. Então, eu acho que é a fé da gente, sabe?
I'm very blessed to have amazing parents. They never cut my wings.
Where those flags are in the horizon, that's Barretos, that's the rodeo grounds. It's like a mirage. Can't believe we're here. Oh, thank you. Oh man, can't believe we made it.
It was dark outside. There was a helicopter hovering over us. Frenchie obviously did not like the helicopter, and I was just so nervous. We get to the back of the arena, and then this guy just goes, being a long rider, it's someone that has a deep passion for horses, loves nature and wants to be connected to the natural world. It's someone that wants to understand humanity at its core. It's someone that doesn't ride a horse for competition to win prizes or ribbons or money. I love those horses so much, you know. My kids, Frenchie, Bruiser, and Dude. We just became so close in this journey. And they were just like my kids, like that's the only way to explain it. We went through so much, and to be there with them after everything we had been through, and for them to be so healthy, and I'll never forget that. And I got up to the stage. My mom was there, like my dad, people that have been important to me, and I felt so alive at that moment, and I just thanked everyone that helped me. And then they took me to go see my statue. I'm like, what?
Oh my God. I don't deserve this. Oh my God.
I'm 27 years old, and I'm looking up at Bruiser's head and then me on top, more than 5 meters tall.
Oh my God, this is insane.
In their own unique ways. Our next guest's journey to Brazil is nothing short of amazing.
Filipe e Bruiser. Gente, o Bruiser veio aqui no estúdio mesmo.
We're incredibly impressed by you and what you've been able to accomplish, but how about giving the horse some credit?
Exactly. This is Bruiser, one of the 3 heroes that walked 8,000 miles from Canada to Brazil. It's insane. They're warriors.
Calgary, o maior rodeio do Canadá, com o meu cavalo French. Esse cavalo é igualzinho meu cavalo.
Esse saquinho aqui, olha. O que tem nesse saquinho?
Dentro desse saquinho, e eu acho que a Naomi acabou sendo minha anja da guarda. Eu acho que o destino não era ela vir comigo, era eu levar ela para ela me proteger.
Going up that mountain, it was like they knew. My dad built them a house, built them stalls, and I promised them when I met them. I said, listen, boys, we're gonna go through war here, but we're gonna make it, and I'm gonna give you guys the best retirement a horse could ever ask for. I walked them out to the pasture.
Little Dude. My little Mustang. And now you're free. to be a little Mustang again. Huh? Good job. I love you so much, buddy. Thank you so much. You're the best horse in the world. I know you know that. And I wouldn't have gotten here without you. Frenchie, I know we got off to a rocky beginning. You almost killed me. But I wouldn't have done this without you, with all your spirit, all your heart. And I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I still had Naomi's ashes. She went the entire way from Craig, Colorado to Brazil. There were so many moments where I thought I was gonna die or the horses are gonna die, and somehow, some way, we came out the other side alive. I really started to believe that this woman was there to protect us. She was my guardian angel. I asked her to continue to watch out for the horses and keep them safe. And that's when my life fell apart. You spent 803 days chasing kilometers with horses, and then all of a sudden, you're back to your house, you're back to real life, you're cut off from the herd. I had symptoms of PTSD. I started experiencing anxiety, depression, couldn't sleep at night, recurring nightmares. Emma broke up with me. In this mess that I was in, like a lot of people, I turned to the bottle and started drinking. And one night, I made the mistake of getting in my truck and nearly died.
For 6,000 years, brave men and women have been swinging into the saddle and setting off in search of adventure and freedom. Sadly, in the last 50 years, the world has been turned into a mediocrity by travel machines. Filipe represents the end of the age of Tschifferle.
En 2016, Filipe visita un hospital oncológico infantil. Allí puede observar que los niños no pierden sus sonrisas a pesar de los grandes desafíos de vida que enfrentan. Con la necesidad de ayudar al hospital, decide emprender una nueva cabalgata. Esta vez, rumbo hacia el fin del mundo. Ushuaia, Argentina, un viaje de 7.500 kilómetros. En esta travesía decide montar 2 caballos diferentes en cada país para evitar tener problemas con las fronteras. Filipe tarda 4 meses en cruzar el sur de Brasil y 1 mes en recorrer Uruguay. Cuando ingresa a Argentina, recibe una sorpresa inesperada, un regalo del universo. La familia Solanet, la misma que le había prestado los caballos a Aimé Chiflin hace casi un siglo atrás, le ofrecen a Filipe 2 criollos del mismo linaje que Gato y Mancha. Ellos son Zapito González y Pablo Picasso. En el camino, Filipe conoce a una mujer. Ella le da una pulsera de plata y le dice que es para su alma gemela, que pronto la conocerá. Pero Filipe no le cree. Un gran incendio forestal encuentra a Filipe y a sus caballos en el camino. Los obliga a detenerse y luego cabalgar sobre cenizas. En la Patagonia sufre temperaturas de menos 15 grados y vientos de hasta 120 kilómetros por hora. En su paso por un pueblo llamado El Bolsón, Filipe conoce a una joven que le cambiará su vida para siempre. Su nombre es Clara. Y esa soy yo. Lo acompañé en parte de su camino hacia el fin del mundo y pude compartir la alegría de su llegada. Y así, mientras su viaje terminaba, el nuestro recién comenzaba.
Filipe's journey provides us with a message of hope. Yes, we have hostile borders, but what we see in Filipe is a beacon. He had the courage to overcome discouragement. He then confronted and overcame every kind of obstacle the Americas could throw at him. And what he proves is that the mounted Argonauts of the past are still with us.
The horse, ultimately, has made me a better human being. The horse is one of the biggest mammals, yet it's so calm. And there are studies that prove that that energy, it transcends to people that spend a lot of time around horses. You end up being a calmer being. And horses today help people with mental problems. They help people with addiction. I have an example of what the horse can do. The horse pulled me out of a depression. The horse was my therapy. In 2019, I started the final portion of my ride from Alaska to Calgary on 2 wild horses with Clara by my side. When I started the journey, I was leaving Canada and returning to what I thought was my home, Brazil. The fact of the matter is, when I arrived in Brazil, I realized I couldn't be further from home. And today, when you ask me what home signifies to me, it has a name, and it's Clara. You know, very few people will get to spend as much time as I did with the same horses. And out of all of the lessons that I learned from them, I think the most important one was the simplest. Take that first step.